They don't hate you. They don't like you. They don't even care about you. They study you. Every word you say, every pause, every weakness. They're not interested in who you are. They're interested in how you react. And if you still believe this world rewards good intentions, you're already bleeding in the water. Have you ever looked back at a conversation and thought, why did I say that? Why did I open up? Why did I try to explain myself to someone who already decided how to see me? That's not just awkwardness. That's warfare. And you lost. Manipulators don't show up with claws. They show up with compliments, with fake empathy, with charm. They're your co-workers, your exes, your friends. They act clueless, pretend harmless. But every word is a move. Every silence is bait. They win by making you doubt yourself. You ever notice how you always feel like you're the problem after talking to certain people? Like you owe them something? Like you're on trial and they're the judge? That's not conversation. That's strategy. And if you don't understand it, you'll keep bleeding for people who never even brought a bandage. Because they don't want your peace. They want your power. So if you're watching this, stop scrolling. Because this isn't a pep talk. This is a weapon, a blueprint. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to turn the game around. Not just survive it, but win it. Comment, I see the games now, if you're ready to wake up. You've been told to be nice, to be the bigger man, to give people the benefit of the doubt. But what happens when the world doesn't play by the same rules? What happens when your kindness becomes currency, and they're the ones cashing it? You try to be honest, and they twist your words. You open up, and they use it against you. You compromise, and they call you weak. You raise your voice once, and now you're angry. But stay quiet too long, and suddenly you don't care. You're not crazy. You're not too emotional. You're just living in a world that punishes truth and rewards manipulation. And here's the hard truth. No one is coming to save you from it. No therapist, no friend, no system. It's on you. Have you ever been in a relationship where every fight felt like a courtroom? You walk in trying to resolve something, but 10 minutes later, you're apologizing for something they did. That's not love. That's strategy. Or maybe at work, you share an idea in a meeting, and suddenly it's theirs. They act like they didn't hear you, smile when the boss credits them. You feel it in your gut. This isn't right. But you keep the peace. That's how it starts. They don't destroy you in one blow. They destroy you in small moments of self-doubt. They gaslight your instincts, distort your truth, and make you second-guess the fire in your gut. And the worst part? You let it happen because you were taught that good men stay calm. That good men don't fight fire with fire. But Stoicism was never about being passive. It's about being unshakable. This video is for every man who's ever stayed quiet when he should have spoken. For every guy who got gaslit into apologizing for things he didn't do. For every one of you who feels like you're always on the defensive, in your job, your home, your relationships. It's not just you, it's a pattern, and it ends today. This isn't therapy, this is training. Training to recognize the moves, the tactics, the tells. Because once you see the patterns, you'll never be played again. The cost of staying unaware, your peace, your focus, your potential. You'll spend your life reacting to traps you didn't even know were set. But when you understand these 7 tactics, really understand them, you don't just protect yourself, you become unreachable. No more trying to win arguments that were never meant to be fair. No more explaining yourself to people who already made up their mind. No more shrinking to make others comfortable. This isn't about being cruel. This is about being clear. Because clarity is power. And when you start walking through life with clear boundaries, clear purpose, and a clear mind, you stop being a target. you start being a force. And now, let's get into the 7 genius ways to outsmart manipulators. Number 1. Mirror their moves. They think you're blind, that you don't notice how their words shift when the crowd changes, how their voice softens when they need something, how they pretend they didn't say what they just said, because they expect you to doubt your own memory before you ever doubt their intent. Have you ever sat across from someone and felt like the entire conversation was a trap? Like every question was a hallway leading to a door that only they had the key for? That's how they play. Not with fists, but with words that wrap around your spine like chains, slowly tightening until you forget what your own truth sounded like. They don't come to break you. They come to bend you quietly, without you even knowing it. And that's exactly why you need to become unbendable. Not loud, not defensive, just completely, terrifyingly unmoved. Imagine sitting in a conversation where someone is clearly trying to provoke you, using smiles as weapons, wrapping accusations in compliments. Most men would stumble into that with explanations, defenses, justifications, but you won't. You'll look at them and say nothing, not because you're unsure, but because there's nothing to say to a lie wearing makeup. They expect you to play the part they've written for you, but when you don't speak on cue, when you don't flinch or entertain their fantasy, they have nothing to control. You flip the script without writing a single word. If you want to start living this today, here's what you do. The next time someone pushes you for an answer, respond with a question that reflects their own behavior. Something simple like, "Why does that matter to you?" Say it with calm eyes and a voice so stable it scares them. When someone flatters you excessively, don't return the favor. Just nod. Let the compliment hit the ground between you and see if they pick it back up. They will, because they're not complimenting you. They're testing how badly you need to be liked. Stop giving them the reaction they rehearsed for. Start giving them uncertainty. That's what takes their power. And no, you don't need to be mean. You just need to be clear. Clarity breaks the spell faster than confrontation ever could. Every time you choose presence over performance, detachment over explanation, they see you, not as a target, but as a wall too high to scale. The goal isn't to fight them. It's to become unreadable, untouchable, to make them realize they brought a script to a scene you refuse to act in. This isn't coldness, it's clarity. And clarity is what they fear most, because it means you finally see the game for what it is. And worse, you're no longer playing, you're watching, you're learning. And that scares them more than any words ever could. Number 2, control your emotions. They don't win because they're smarter. They win because they know how to make you feel before you think. That's the trap. That's the weapon. And if you don't learn how to master what rises inside of you when you're triggered, you'll keep handing your power over to people who wouldn't lift a finger to save you. Have you ever walked away from a conversation and realized you gave away too much, told them what hurt, what made you mad, what you needed, thinking you were being honest, when in reality you were just giving them ammunition? They smile, nod, say they understand, and then weeks later, they use that same confession to pull you apart in front of others. That's not love, that's leverage, and the only way out is through control. Not control over them, over you. Because when you can feel anger but still choose your words, when you can feel disrespected but not show your face twitch, when you can walk into chaos and leave without leaving a trace, you become dangerous in a way that doesn't need to be explained. Picture this. Someone throws a passive insult at you in a group, trying to get a rise. You can laugh along like you're unbothered, or you can call them out and escalate. But the highest move, the most powerful move, looking them straight in the eyes, calm, still, and then changing the subject without even flinching. That's control. That's the art of refusing to dance for people who set the floor on fire just to watch you burn. You want to apply this today? Practice responding to disrespect with presence, not performance. Breathe. Count 3 seconds before you respond to anything emotionally charged. Practice saying less. Practice walking away from people mid-accusation. You don't owe them your energy. You owe yourself your peace. Because every time you let someone drag you into an emotional cage match, you lose something. Your time, your clarity, your self-respect. And most men don't realize this until years later, when they're sitting in a room they never chose to be in, with people they never wanted to please, all because they never learned how to say no with their face, their body, their soul. Your emotions aren't the enemy, but your addiction to expressing them is. Start controlling what you show and watch how fast the manipulators lose interest. Because if they can't move you, they can't use you. And in a world full of people who are loud, dramatic, always needing to prove something, a man who feels deeply but moves deliberately is the most terrifying presence in the room, not because he doesn't feel, but because he refuses to be ruled by what he feels. That's the real flex. That's the difference between being led and leading yourself, from pawn to king. And if you're ready to make that shift permanent, there's something waiting for you that goes deeper than this video ever could. The Stoic Relationship Blueprint, linked in the comments, isn't just a book. It's the blueprint to everything they never taught you about power, peace, and navigating the chaos of modern connection. If you've ever asked yourself, why do I always feel like I'm giving more than I'm getting? Or, why do I keep falling for people who don't respect me? This is your answer, and once you own it, it's yours forever. Not some membership, not a subscription, real permanent access to the kind of truth that most men live their whole lives without ever hearing. It's sharp, it's raw, it's designed to make you unshakable. Don't wait until the damage is done. Get the blueprint now. Number 3, slow the game down. They want you rushing. Always. That's how they win. They know that the faster they speak, the faster you move, the less time you have to think, and the more you rely on emotion over logic. And the second you're reacting instead of thinking, you're not in control. They are. Have you ever been in an argument where they demanded an answer on the spot? Where right now became a weapon? That's not urgency. That's manipulation. They want your decisions impulsive, your words unfiltered, your mind cloudy. Because clarity kills control, and they don't want you clear. They want you panicked, doubting, cornered. That's why the most powerful move you can make isn't loud. It's time. Just time. Imagine someone confronting you, pushing you, cornering you with questions. Most people feel the pressure to speak. But what if you didn't? What if you looked at them, let the pressure hang in the air, and said, I'll get back to you? Do you know how unsettling that is to someone who needs you reactive? You steal their pace. You take the game and put it in slow motion. That's power. That's leadership. You don't play their tempo. You move by your own rhythm. Start using this today. Anytime someone texts you with emotional bait, don't respond for hours. Don't explain why. Just don't. Give space. Let them sit in their own noise. Watch how fast they spiral. Watch how quickly their confidence starts cracking. Because control through speed is only effective when you match their pace. But when you slow down, breathe and respond hours or even days later, they lose leverage. You're not avoiding the problem. You're reframing the field. They can't outplay what they can't predict. And unpredictability is rooted in timing. If someone tries to provoke you in person, pause. Let their words sit in the room like smoke. Then respond like you've had a lifetime to think. That alone resets the power dynamic instantly. Your pause is not weakness, it's dominance. Real strength is restraint. And restraint only comes from training. Training your mind to wait. Training your spirit to stay still when your blood wants to boil. Start building this daily. Delay answering emails that feel off. Don't reply instantly when she says something that feels loaded. Pause before every big decision, even if it's just 5 seconds. That habit rewires your life. Because in those seconds, you stop being reactive and start becoming intentional. And intentional men win, not because they do more, but because they do less, but they do it on purpose. When you control your time, you control the game, and no manipulator survives a game where their tricks expire before they land. So give them time, let their words age, and you'll see them decay before your eyes. Number 4, speak less, mean more. They're not threatened by your voice, they're threatened by what it reveals, and most men don't realize how much they give away until the words are already out and the damage is done. You've been conditioned to explain yourself, to prove you're not the bad guy, to clarify what you meant, to overtalk your own intuition just to avoid making others uncomfortable. And what has it gotten you? Nothing but misunderstandings, disrespect, and regret. Have you ever left a conversation and felt like you betrayed yourself just to keep the peace? You knew what you felt. You knew what was off. But you talked so much, you talked yourself out of it. That's the trap. When you speak too much, you give them more material to spin, to distort, to twist into something you never meant. But when you speak with precision, when your words come out slow and sharp, you control the narrative. You set the pace. You remove confusion from the equation. Imagine someone accusing you, trying to bait you into a confession, into defending your own character. Most men fold under that pressure. They explain, apologize, water down their truth just to be understood. But what if you didn't? What if you said one sentence, no matter how uncomfortable, and then stopped talking? What if you let your words land like a blade instead of a pillow? That kind of communication isn't just powerful, it's unforgettable. You want to build this into your daily life? Start here. Say what you need to say, then stop. Count in your head if you have to. Make it a habit. If you're explaining yourself for longer than 10 seconds, you've already lost ground. You're not trying to convince, you're trying to communicate. And the difference is everything. Stop using words to soften the truth. Say it once, mean it. Let them deal with the discomfort. That's how you train people how to treat you. Not by volume, but by weight. Every sentence you speak should land like it was planned, even if it wasn't, because that's what real presence feels like. You're not the loudest, but when you speak, they listen. And that's what men have forgotten. That speech isn't power, intent is. And when you reclaim your intent, when you make every word count, you stop being part of the noise. You become the signal. In a world where everyone is always talking, always explaining, always trying to be liked, your silence will be deafening. Your restraint will be respected, and your presence will command the room long after your mouth goes quiet. Speak less, mean more. Let the weight of your words do the work. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to be remembered by those who matter. Number 5, spot ego traps. They don't need to control your body when they already own your mind. And the fastest way to take a man off his path is to trick him into chasing validation. That's the trap. That's the leash. They don't chain you with insults. They chain you with praise. Have you ever been complimented in a way that felt just a little too perfect, too calculated, too early? Or guilted by someone saying, "After all I've done for you," as if their help came with an invisible price tag? That's not love. That's leverage. They feed your ego to keep you loyal, not to them, but to their opinion of you. They tell you you're amazing, but only when you behave how they want. They tell you you're cold, but only when you set boundaries. This is how they trap you, not with fists, but with expectations wrapped in affection. And if you don't learn to spot it, You'll spend your life dancing for a crowd that cheers only when you forget who you are. Here's how to take your power back. Every time someone praises you, ask yourself, what did they just get me to do? Did you reveal something? Did you lower your standards? Did you agree to something that didn't sit right just to keep the mood positive? If the answer is yes, you weren't praised. You were played. Real admiration doesn't come with conditions. Manipulators stroke your ego when they want something. And when they don't get it, the praise turns to guilt. Quickly, you go from, "You're the only one who understands me," to, "I can't believe you're doing this to me," in seconds. That's the emotional roller coaster they want you on. And the only way off is detachment. You want to implement this now? Start saying thank you to compliments with no return compliment. Just say thanks and pause. Watch how many people get uncomfortable when you don't give the validation back. That discomfort, that's your test. Also, start tracking your guilt. Anytime you feel guilty for saying no, write down why. Guilt is often a signal that someone tried to emotionally tax you for living by your own values. If someone uses their past help to make you feel obligated, ask yourself, was it a gift or a down payment? Because real giving doesn't come with invoices. You must train yourself to be immune to both sides of the manipulation coin, the pedestal and the pit. If you're addicted to praise, you'll always be controlled by the fear of losing it. And if you can't handle guilt, you'll forever bend your soul to keep others from feeling what they need to feel. This world isn't fair, and most people aren't honest about what they want from you. But when you learn to recognize the traps, when you stop chasing validation and start protecting your energy like your life depends on it, because it does, you free yourself. And in that freedom, you become a man that cannot be bought, swayed, or shamed. You stop being someone who plays roles for approval. You become someone who writes his own lines and walks off the stage when the audience gets demanding. Ego traps only work on those who need applause. When you don't, you become untouchable. Number 6, never argue, observe. They want you angry. They want you reactive. They want you to chase the argument because the second you start defending yourself, you're already playing by their rules. Have you ever tried to reason with someone who clearly wasn't interested in truth, only in winning? You lay out the facts. You stay calm. You think logic will end it, but they twist your words, change the subject, bring up old wounds, and suddenly, you're not even talking about the original issue anymore. You're defending your character, your past, your intent. That's not debate. That's bait. And every time you argue with someone who doesn't care about clarity, you pay with your peace. The answer? You stop engaging. You observe. Picture this. Someone starts accusing you of being distant, selfish, cold. Not because you actually are, but because you didn't give them what they wanted. Most men jump to correct that. No, I've just been busy. I didn't mean it that way. I care, I promise. But what if you didn't? What if you just stood there and watched? Not with fear, with full awareness. Because people who need to provoke you always reveal themselves the longer they talk. You want to master this? Start small. The next time someone tries to guilt you, just listen. Say nothing. Let the weight of their words settle in the room without picking it up. You'll be shocked how fast they start backtracking or escalating. That's the tell. If someone needs you emotional to win, they were never interested in resolution. You don't owe explanations to people who already decided how to see you. You owe yourself clarity. And clarity doesn't come from arguing. It comes from watching. Take note of patterns. How do they act when you disagree? Do they try to understand or do they attack? Do they ask questions or make accusations? Stop trying to prove you're a good man to people who would rather see you guilty. You're wasting your energy on trials with no judges, only executioners. And that energy could be used to build your life, your purpose, your peace. Every minute spent in a useless argument is a minute stolen from your mission, and no man can afford that cost forever. Train yourself to pause when you feel the pull to defend. Let your silence be filled with discernment, not fear. Real strength isn't measured in how loudly you win the debate. It's measured in how effortlessly you walk away from it, because you saw it for what it was, not a conversation, a trap. Observation is your weapon. Your calm is your shield. And when they realize you won't play their games, they'll do one of two things: escalate or disappear. Either way, you win, because truth doesn't need defense. It just needs time to reveal itself. And a man who observes more than he speaks is a man who sees everything and responds only when it matters. Number 7. Detach to dominate. They don't need to control what you own if they control what you care about. The truth is, most men are not imprisoned by others. They're imprisoned by their own attachments. Have you ever stayed in a relationship longer than you should have because you didn't want to start over? Or held on to someone's approval because without it, you felt invisible? That's the chain. That's the weakness. And manipulators see it from miles away. They don't go for your strength. They go for what you fear losing. That's why detachment isn't a buzzword. It's a battlefield position. You cannot be dominated by someone whose rewards mean nothing to you. Imagine this. You're dating someone who knows you crave loyalty, affection, peace. They love bomb you, make you feel like you finally found someone who gets it. But the moment you disagree, they pull back. They become cold, distant, unpredictable. And because you're attached to what they gave you before, you now chase the version of them that never really existed. That's how they win. Not with abuse, with withdrawal. They train you to respond like a dog to a bell. And most men don't realize they've become emotionally dependent until they're begging for respect they once gave away for free. You want to flip the game? Detach. That doesn't mean not caring. It means not relying. You don't chase. You don't plead. You don't fear losing what doesn't serve you. Because if they can control you by what they withhold, they already own you. You want to train this. Every time you feel that pull to react to someone ghosting, someone giving you the silent treatment, someone playing hot and cold, don't chase it. Sit with the discomfort. Write down the feeling. Let yourself want them, and still say no. That's discipline. Start separating how you feel from how you move. You can miss her and still not text her. You can want closure and still give yourself the answer. You can feel the urge to explain and still choose silence. Detachment isn't about becoming a robot. It's about becoming a man who chooses what he feeds, what he tolerates, what he follows. And that choice cannot be made by someone who is emotionally entangled with a fantasy of who someone used to be. People will test you. They will withdraw to see if you panic. They will insult to see if you break. They will ignore you to see if you reach. But when you stop responding, stop justifying, stop needing them to act a certain way for you to be okay, something powerful happens. You become the constant, the stable force, the man who doesn't move unless it's by design. And in a world full of people who are addicted to approval, you become unforgettable, not because you're loud, but because you're free. Detachment is power, not because you don't care, but because your care is no longer a weapon in their hands. And that kind of power doesn't just protect you, it elevates you. From reaction to leadership, from need to choice, from pawn to king. Most men will scroll past this and go back to living in the loop, chasing women who drain them, apologizing for truths they were born to speak, wasting years in silence while their power rots under someone else's thumb. But not you. You're here because some part of you knows. This world does not respect men who don't know how to protect themselves emotionally. That's why the Stoic relationship blueprint exists. For the man who's done explaining himself, done begging for peace, and ready to reclaim his mind, his boundaries, his life. It's raw, brutal, honest, exactly what you were never taught but always needed. Comment the Stoic Blueprint if you're ready to grab it right now. It's linked in the comments, and once you have it, it's yours forever. No games, just real answers. And if this message hit you deep, like the video and subscribe. You might save another man from wasting years of his life chasing illusions. This knowledge is rare. Help it reach those who need it before it's buried again.